Hey y'all, Kristen here and welcome back to my channel. If you're interested in minimalism, simplifying, and healthy living, then stick around. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my Stillwater trip, the things that I actually purchased, and how I kept things pretty minimal in terms of what I was buying on my trip, as well as just some things I've learned from the different people that I met and the different cultures that I learned about on this trip. So I'm going to start off with the items that I purchased. I went to a tea store because there was a tea store in downtown Stillwater, Minnesota. And of course, you all know I love my tea, so I had to get tea. So I got 4 different types of loose leaf tea and I transferred them into these glass jars. They were in like little paper baggies. So I did transfer them all into these glass jars. I just like that. Again, they aren't all the same size, but they work well. These are just jars I've had from candles, salsas, different things that I've had that I keep. So that's what I used. The first tea I got was a cold remedy tea. Now, the reason I got this one is pretty self-explanatory. Again, if I get sick or I feel a cold coming on, I'm going to immediately drink this and hopefully it'll help in making me feel better or fight off a cold. Now, what is in it? It has elderberry, chamomile, ginger, eucalyptus, lemon, and peppermint. So very soothing for the throat. So if you have a sore throat, this would likely be a good contender and would help you also just have a little bit more energy. So definitely something I'm going to reach for if I'm just feeling under the weather. I have a Mumbai Chai. This was their recommended chai tea. It has Indian black tea in it, cinnamon, anise, peppercorns, nutmeg, and cardamom. So those are the ingredients. I did actually try this. It is pretty good. I will say if you're doing like an iced chai with just milk, this isn't going to be very strong for chai. But if you're doing it in like water, it is really good. Because I've tried this one. I have this mindful mint here, and it has peppermint, spearmint, lemon, myrtle in it. So mint is just a great relaxer for like your stomach. You have stomach issues like me, your stomach hurts. This is a great way to just kind of relax. Whether you have anxiety, stomach pain, the magic carpet ride. And the ingredients here are black tea, green tea, pineapple, papaya, sunflower blossoms, and some strawberry and mango flavors. So this is a very fruity, amazing tea. Typically when I go on vacations, I look for consumables, whether that's things I can eat, things I can drink, things I can make, things that I can use that are things that I'm going to use for a short amount of time and then throw away. So for example, buying magnets or t-shirts that say Stillwater on them or Minnesota on them over the whole advertising and buying clothing that has the big names on it. Now, if that brings you value, great, but that's just not something that I've been doing, and that's kind of a pro tip in terms of keeping things minimal when you travel, is if you look at, okay, what can I buy and purchase here that I can consume or use up? And that brings me into my next one. As you can probably see here, I have 2 candles. I'm doing a candle making class, which I've never done before. So fun. We got to pick out our scents. They just had a number, and then you added the oil into the wax. You had to make sure it was a certain temperature and then let it sit, and added the little wick in there, and there you have it. These are my 2 candles. Help me be mindful, help me to be in the present, and I love just the aesthetic and calmingness of having a little candlelight at night. So I love that, and I knew I would use these and that this is a good purchase. And I also just had so much fun. This was an awesome activity. 10 out of 10 would recommend doing a candle making class if you like candles and you would enjoy that sort of thing. And then the last thing I purchased, which brings me into a little bit about culture, I got this wood cutting board, which I found on my Amish tour that we did, Harmony, on our way to Stillwater. I love it. I love that it has the handle. It's actually a walnut cutting board. So I'm really glad that I found this. It was also in support of the Amish because I went on some Amish tours. There are quite a few Amish individuals that live in Harmony, Minnesota. And so I'm going to share with you guys a little bit about some things that I learned from the Amish and how that maybe can apply a little bit to minimalism and just living more simply. Something that I learned from the Amish is that they live very frugally and very simple lives. And I feel like that's something that westernized culture can 100% learn from. And while they would put it as, we don't want to live in the world or of the world because it goes against our religion, or because they feel like that separates them from God or creates kind of that division there, while they would say that that's a distraction or a division, while maybe I don't believe the same as them, there's still a lot that I can learn from the Amish as a whole and from some of their beliefs and insights and the way that they live. I got to see some of their houses, I got to see some of their farms, and obviously see some of the things that they make, whether that be woodworking, furniture, goodies. What I really found is that they live so simply. They don't spend money a lot. They are like one of the first people to like help people when a natural disaster happens, whether that be a flood, a hurricane, whatever's happening. They're very willing to help people out in need, which I think is just like a great way to live. And while I wouldn't necessarily want nor get value from living without any electricity or running water, again, seems kind of extreme, but I can learn, hey, they learn to conserve, to save money, and to just live more grounded, slow and mindful lives that are filled with prayer, lives that are filled with like slow living and simple living. You know, they dress very modestly, and they make their own clothes, their own dresses, and they keep everything very, very simple when it comes to how they live. They don't have a lot of kitchen gadgets or kitchen items that they cook with in the homes that I visited. They have a few knickknacks and things, but they keep things very minimal and very basic. And I think that that's something that I've definitely learned, not necessarily from them, but I think that it's something to keep in mind is how can I learn from their culture, and how does that with minimalism a little bit and simple living? And I would say very much so it does. Now that doesn't mean I need to like go and live on a farm far away and live without electricity or running water and live by their rules or their beliefs, but it does mean that I can question a little bit when I'm purchasing things, or when I'm not living more mindfully and wanting to like get in the rat race, or if I'm getting into like that hustle mentality of just taking a step back, slowing down, breathing, and really reliving and centering myself, living a life of gratitude, thinking about how I can help and bless other people, and living not based on the things or for more things so I can purchase more things. And here in the US, we are in a very consumeristic society. We are surrounded by ads and things that are saying, buy me, buy me, buy me. And so that can be difficult. And so really maybe even creating like a space of, I need to unfollow, or I need to turn off my notifications so that way I'm not constantly bombarded with new things that I quote unquote need, or that these ads are telling me that I need, and create some division and separation there. And that's something that I feel like I also learned from the Amish is disconnecting. You know, they don't have phones, and while I'm never like just not gonna have a phone does bring me value. I think creating separation within like certain social mediums or with advertisements and online shopping, not receiving so many of those notifications can be beneficial. Those are just kind of some of the things I've learned from my Stillwater trip, what I purchased on my trip, and how I kind of keep things minimally when I travel. It's a beautiful day to simplify. I will see you all in the next one. Bye.